Hobbies. We all have them, and they're very important. Hell, hobbies are part of why I am making these videos, even if not on a consistent basis. Sorry about that. I'm trying to be better. Hobbies are very important regardless of what that hobby is. And because of this, I wanted to take a somewhat deep dive into hobbies and their ways of bringing in new people, how different local game stores work to bring in new players and customers, and how players actually get into the hobbies themselves. Today, we're going to be mainly focusing on that first part, the brands and companies through Wizards of the Coast with Magic and Games Workshop with Warhammer. The main reason that these will be the focused outlet for this video series is these are the main hobbies that I have, and these are the things I already have some experience with. This is the first part of a three-part video series entitled The Hobby and You, and You, and You. And this will be the first of three. I know I just said that. And this will be in a curated playlist linked in the description below as well on my YouTube page. But that being said, let's get into it. So, first off, we're going to look at Magic the Gathering. Fitting, I know, because this is the main primary focus of this channel, so it's probably going to be for the best to knock it out first. Whenever someone gets into Magic, there are a few avenues that are established by Wizards themselves, and one of these is going to their website where they have a multi-part post where it explores how one can play the game, such as what to do on a turn, setting up your board, what each card does, the actual anatomy of a card, and all those kinds of things to help bridge the gap of understanding. They also create starter deck products that are meant to be picked up right off the shelf and then opened and played with. These can either be the starter decks for like standard, such as the Cloud and Sephiroth deck they released last year, or a pre-con commander deck that they released with multiple sets, the most recent one being the Turtle Power deck with the TMNT commander. TMNT set. Outside of that, Wizards also has welcome decks that they send out to local game stores to give out to new people to help explain how to play the game. And in these decks, they provide a helpful card to explain what to do on your turn, a specific order to go about it, and that kind of thing, as well as using it as a color combo breakdown. The most recent one they did was with the Spider-Man set, where they released 5, a green Miles, a white Peter, a black Venom, blue Spider-Man 2099, and a red Spider-Gwen deck, all to help bring in new players into the game. Now, if someone wanted to learn in a different manner, they do have a different manner of providing this tutorial through MTG Arena, which is a video game that is able to simulate how playing Magic the Gathering in a similar format. And this provides a comprehensive tutorial that breaks down how to go about your turn, what each color does, and those kinds of things. And these are some of the ways that Wizards themselves goes about trying to bring in new people to also help lower the barrier of entry in the game, just from the gameplay standpoint. Lowering the barrier to entry is obviously very vital to many hobbies, and any effort to do so is incredibly helpful. There are people that try to work about lowering that barrier of entry that aren't specifically partnered with Wizards, and one of these is Tolarian Community College, a YouTuber who has been working for the past 12 years posting videos about Magic the Gathering. The professor is one of those people who makes videos to help break down some of the trickier concepts and provides helpful tips on what to do with specific formats, as well as breaking down different Magic products on if he believes they're worth the price of admission. Now, let's move over to Warhammer, which is a bit of a different story. First off, there isn't really like a online game made by Games Workshop themselves that replicates the tabletop format, so that specific avenue is cut off in lowering the barrier of entry. That being said, since Warhammer is more than just a tabletop game, it allows there to be a variety of different avenues for one to get into the hobby itself. One way that GW has thought of in bringing in new people to the hobby is with their Battle Honors system. This is a booklet that provides a solid guide into the world of Warhammer and that hobby, giving tips and lessons on the collecting, the building, the painting, playing, and reading aspects of the hobby. On top of that, it provides rewards for the person going through it with a pin, dice, brush carrier, a fold out map, and a bits carrier for completing each of the different segments. Outside of that, specifically, the Warhammer stores offer intro painting lessons and playing tutorials to make the complicated nature of that world that much simpler. Warhammer also puts out tutorial videos online going over different painting tips to make sure that any beginner has a decent starting point. These can cover things like thinning your paints, setting up your painting area, and also in-depth tutorials on how to paint a specific mini. But if you did want to learn these painting tips from elsewhere, there are different companies that offer that, such as Duncan Rhodes Academy and the Army Painter. Starting with Duncan Rhodes, this is a man who posts YouTube tutorials providing tips on how to paint different minis and in-depth tutorials about how to go about different techniques, such as dry brushing, edge highlighting, and brush care. He also has a website where one can pay a subscription that provides access to many of these tutorial videos, as well as a community of fellow players to talk with. In a similar vein, there's the Army Painter. The Army Painter is a paint company that sells paints, brushes, and different tools for the modeling hobby. And they sell starter kits for different kinds of paints that come with a different variety of paints, as well as a brush to start people off with. These can be just your normal paints. They have a speed paint box and a airbrush starter kit that all give like decent intros to being a beginner. They, on their website, they have a section fully dedicated to a beginner in this hobby, which will break down what each of these concepts are, tutorials on different ways to paint a specific mini, and they also provide bundles on their website of paints to buy if you wanted to paint a specific faction in the game that has a tutorial linked on the page to make the painting of your plastic figures that much simpler. If you were more so interested in the lore aspect of Warhammer, there's a few channels out there that do that difficult job as well. These channels can be Luton09 or Adeptus Ridiculous. That one's my personal favorite. And they go about trying to simplify the lore in a fun and interesting way that encourages new people to look into it themselves, whether that is doing the research or reading the novels. To speak from a more personal note to end this video off with, these are some of the ways that I actually got into the hobby space. For Magic, I was watching Aaron from Game Grumps play Magic, and I felt that, man, the art on these cards looked really fun, and I kind of wanted to try it. So I did the tutorial of how to play the game on MTG Arena and bought myself some of the starter decks, and from there, I've been going about digging deeper into this hobby and finding out the specific avenues that I really like. For Warhammer, as I mentioned in my Dawn of War video on this channel, I just found myself being curious about the world and decided to pick up the first Horus Heresy novel. After that, I looked into some of the lore videos from Bricky and then listened to episodes of the Adric podcast. And then I went to my local Warhammer store where the guy there help tell me about the different aspects of the hobby outside of just the reading novels aspect. And that's where I picked up the Battle Honors booklet that has helped me begin my journey into this hobby. This is all a long winded way of saying, I want to hear from you. What ways did you get into the hobby? Whether that is Magic or Warhammer or any of the other specific kind of hobbies out there. Did you know about the ways that I listed made by the specific publishers provided to help lower that barrier of entry? If you did, leave a comment down below and be sure to click the notification bell and hit subscribe so that you can stay up to date on the next parts of this series, because I'm going to be trying to do this over the next 2 weeks of getting the other aspects. Next week, we're going to be talking about the game store side of it, of how they go about communicating with the audience and also getting in new people. But that is about everything. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.